Bellator MMA 255 live on Showtime on April 2nd. And hey, co-main event, South Florida's own Jason Jackson, Sanford MMA. He'll have a big fight against Neiman Gracie. It is so cool, especially when a South Florida fighter is in action. Jason Jackson, thank you so much. Jason, tell us about this big fight coming up on April 2nd, Bellator 255.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me, Jim. Definitely going to be fireworks. You definitely don't want to miss, guys. You know, this right here going to get me where I need to be at, right in the title contention. So, big fight for me. And big fight for Bellator, first fight on Showtime. You know, that's a boxing network, so everybody going to want to see a fight, especially the guy that going to throw down some hands like I do.
Jason, you mentioned that, and that's interesting. When something like that happens, look, you're a fighter, and you're obviously your number one focus as an athlete, a fighter, is the fight. But there's so many elements that go on. The better you get, the bigger you get. And this is going to be on Showtime, and it's a big deal. How important is it for you not only to win, but to have a good fight and a good showing on Showtime?
Definitely, especially with the way things going in the MMA world, as there's been a lot of disqualified, eye poke, stuff like that. Definitely want to go out there and showcase what I've been working on. My teammate and team at the Sanford MMA, and want to go out there and perform for everybody, the crowd that's watching at home.
When you're on a fight, when you're on a fight card and there is no crowd, because that's totally different.
Yes, sir.
What is it like? What is that experience like?
It's like being in a gym. You know, in a gym we don't have a crowd. And it's, to me, you could hear the coaches them clearly. And, you know, it's just, you could hear yourself, you control your breathing, and it's so much different.
Well, speaking of gyms, Sanford MMA is just one of the best in the world. How did you get to Sanford MMA?
Long story. I've been with Henri Hooft for a while. And we just, you know, since the separation with Blackzilian, we grew into Sanford.
What can you say about Coach Henri and all the coaches there and the athletes that are there?
Henry's a genius, and everyone who we train with, high quality, hybrid fighters, elite.
Jason, it's interesting. I was at Sanford a few weeks ago. It's my first time over there. That is some facility. It's almost like it's a one-stop shop because you got so many different things that you could do there, whether it's conditioning, weights, physical therapy, rehab, the training fighting center itself. What is it like? Because you mentioned you've been there since Blackzilians. I remember when there was like a little cubbyhole in a shopping plaza to train. And now it's this huge big facility tied in with Sanford Health. What has that been like?
I'm grateful. Definitely. A lot of stuff is beneficial right there on hand. As far as therapy takes care of the body. It's like one of the number one things. See how much money LeBron James paid just on his therapist. So, you know, taking care of the body is the number one thing. And just having, you know, air after finish training, take a shower. It's like, you know, it's like one number one thing that keep away bacteria and staph and all that stuff. So we're grateful for that.
Now this fight coming up, you're going to be facing Neiman Gracie. What is that like for you to face somebody with the history and the family history that's associated with the Gracie name?
Well, I'm excited to go out and show everybody that I'm worthy of that guy who's going to, you know, put a Gracie on my belt. I'm going to beat him. So, you know, there's no other choice. It doesn't matter which one it is. my focus is locked on beating whoever show up.
Well, it's co-main event, a welterweight bout on Bellator MMA 255. Jason, you beat Benson Henderson, and now you have this big Gracie fight. Would you say the Gracie fight now is the biggest fight so far of your career?
Yeah, absolutely. Every fight ahead now is the biggest fight because I want to continue on winning. So every fight from now on is a big fight. Doesn't matter who it is. It's a big fight.
Hey, you mentioned Henri Hooft, head trainer over at Sanford MMA, and I believe you also got to train and work with some fighters like Logan Storley and even Robbie Lawler. What are the training sessions like for you? And to get ready for this fight, how long has camp been for you?
Since as soon as I finished fighting that Ben Henderson fight, I went straight to the gym. Because as soon as I came in the Monday morning, I started lifting so my body could recuperate and start, do one here and there because my legs was kind of sore. Do movement, do other stuff just to trick my way back in and to when I just pick it up. So since my last fight, I really haven't took off, really. I'm like a gym rat. I'm always in the gym trying to learn and seeking new knowledge. And working with Logan Sterling, he's a big part of my camp. Robbie Lawler is a big part of my camp. Roy McDonald, Wagner, Gilbert, guys like Adam said, we have a stacked card. We have a real stacked card. A lot of people going to be fighting from our gym in Bellator pretty soon.
It's some of the names that too. I know Rory. I just talked to Rory. That's why I was over there too a few weeks ago, and him joining Sanford MMA, and that's really cool. Really, I mean, think about welterweights and just think about fighters in general. It's like a who's who over at Sanford MMA, and now you're part of that who's who. What does that make you feel like that you're in that list of who's who over there at Sanford MMA?
Well, it really shows that, that I have what it takes to, signify my name in the top guys that have done MMA. Like you guys would call it Hall of Fame, GOATs.
Jason Jackson has won 6 of his last 7 fights, 10 of 12. He's on the rise. And this is going to be a huge fight, Bellator MMA 255, co-main event, Neiman Gracie. Jason, you're originally from Spanish Town, Jamaica, and then you moved to South Florida. Tell us what it was like growing up in Jamaica, and did you get involved in sports and combat sports fighting in Jamaica, or when you came to South Florida? How did that go for you?
Well, it was actually when I come from Jamaica, because Jamaica was very poor. And the area it was poor too, but we was actually like one of the poorest people in our community. So, to come, when I first came to America, my dream was to, build my mom a big house. And I used to watch a lot of WWE growing up. So I just knew I always wanted to entertain and be a superstar, somebody with great charisma, or somebody to let people, like definitely want to entertain and be on that scene. And once I started finding more about WWE, I realized that these guys are on steroids and they kind of shorten their life. And I just found, I watched, a video of Chuck Liddell and Rampage promo I saw. And I was like, that's what I wanted to do. So I started some college. I wanted to do MMA. I don't want to go to school. At the age of, I think I was like 18 or 19.
Then when you were in South Florida, you went to Miramar High School, home of the Patriots, and Norland, home of the Vikings. Did you play any sports in high school?
I wrestled in Miramar for sure my 9th and 10th grade year. And then I left Miramar to go to Norland because it was like so much of a distraction just wearing uniform. And Norland, was more of a different school, so I wanted to say, I just want to start over. But they didn't have a wrestling program, so I still would have to come back once in a while and wrestle at Miramar with the team.
Hey, that's interesting that you're into wrestling, and you mentioned WWE, and it is sports entertainment, and it's very different from MMA combat sports. One, you're trying to beat your opponent. The other one, you're trying to work with your opponent to make the match look good.
Yep.
I'm curious, when you got into wrestling, was the thought at that time still WWE? Maybe I'll do that? Or did you know at that time you wanted to get into some type of MMA or combat sport?
I wanted to do MMA because the sport was new, and I felt like there's more room to grow. It's not as biased as WWE, because as I started to get older, I realized how biased WWE was. Like, the black athlete wasn't really getting as much TV time, and there wasn't much champion. And whenever you see them all at once. And I was like, in WWE, in UFC, everybody that's on top are more of the black athlete or whatnot. So they strive. It's not control. So I can be something in MMA, and I was a big fan of Bruce Lee as well. So growing up, in Jamaica, we used to have a lot of Western movies. And what they did, because it was a lot of shooting and killing, they took away the Western movie and gave us karate movies.
Hey, that's interesting. Did you see the movie with, oh gosh, I wish I could think of the name of it, but it was Bruce Lee, and it was NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Chuck Norris as well. And he had to go through different levels. He had to go through different levels of fighting, and when he got to the top level, it was Kareem, big 7'2" Kareem, who could actually do some karate and all. That was really cool. You're a big Bruce Lee movie fan. I don't know if you remember that one or not.
I said, did he kill Chuck Norris?
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy. I tell people that I have a little Chinese in me, they don't believe me. Chinese in Jamaica a lot of Chinese.
That's awesome. And hey, there's also, actually it's not a serious type of karate movie, but there was a movie called The Last Dragon. I don't know if you're...
Yeah. That's my movie.
Shonuff! The Shogun of Harlem.
Yep, get my chucks.
Yes! That was so cool. Cult classic. Oh man, that is so good. All right. My goodness. Well, I want to ask you a couple more questions. We'll wrap this up. And it's interesting because when you were watching WWE, were you a Rock fan?
The Rock fan, right?
Yeah, it was Rock. Actually, today, I'll tell you what. It's so funny, Jason. Today is March 16th. And every year, it's a big thing on Twitter and all. Today is Stone Cold Steve Austin Day because his big thing was Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. And today is March 16th, 316. So every day, so it's fun. It's good to be talking to you on Happy 316 Day to you, Jason Jackson.
Yep, 1 beer, 2 beer, 3 beer. But definitely, him and The Rock had the best feud.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
That's how my nickname came about.
Well, you're the ass-kicking machine.
Exactly, son. He talk about kicking ass, whooping ass.
Oh.
And he actually teamed with Kane, the Big Red Machine.
Yes. That is awesome. That was. Oh my gosh. You Rudy Poo candy ass.
Remember with the Hulk Hogan, that scene?
When he fought Hogan at WrestleMania?
No, the time when with The Rock, Hulk Hogan, and Kane.
Oh, yeah, and Kane, oh my gosh. Wow, Jason. Good. And Kane comes in, and Kane didn't talk much. I remember that promo. And then he imitated Hulk.
He did The Rock. He did Hulk. He did Hulk and The Rock. The millions and millions of Canaanites gonna run wild on you. It's like, what? They didn't know he was an entertainer, but crazy.
Canaanites? Canaanites? Forget it.
So you remember now. So you remember. You trying yourself.
Oh man, I just interviewed them. I interview them a lot too. I interview the MMA fighters, like yourself, Mr. Jason Jackson, the ass-kicking machine, Kane and The Rock combo. That's awesome. And then I interview a lot of some boxers, but mainly pro wrestlers and MMA fighters. It's interesting because of pro wrestling, you do see some crossover. Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, Ronda Rousey, to name a few, that have done both successfully. And that's interesting, Jason, because I know it's a different concept for you and a different mindset. But I'm curious now, too, now that you're in MMA and that's your number one focus, of course, and that's your thing. But is WWE or pro wrestling something even down the road you might want to get into?
Maybe if I have the name to where I could go and make some money like Mayweather or Ronda Rousey or something like that, of that nature. But other than that, I can't go there and be like a Matt Riddle. Nothing wrong with the bro, but he's building up, and you know what I'm saying, he's everything of a character that, you know what I'm saying, the WWE universe will want to see. But to me, I would just be another Kofi Kingston or you know what I'm saying?
Kofi Kingston is one of that. Not only is he an outstanding sports entertainer, superstar, pro wrestler, what a great guy. He really is. Just so, he does so much outside of the ring with the community, and he's just really, really cool guy. Cool wrestler, cool character. Really like Kofi. And Kofi, hey, Kofi built himself up because for years he was like a mid-card guy, they'd call it, a mid-card guy. And then all of a sudden, he had a big match and did well. He actually substituted for somebody because someone got hurt. Mustafa Ali got hurt. And he came in and did so well, the fans start really rallying around him, and it helped him get to the World Championship. I mean, hey, listen, we know, Jason, we know that it's predetermined results. But you can't just put the title on anybody. You got to put it on somebody that the fans are really rallying around or they really despise. So there is still some competitiveness in that, in trying to get that crowd reaction. So there still is an art form for me. You can't just put the title on anybody.
Yeah, but it took him 11 years.
It did. It took him a long time. And it was good to see Bobby Lashley just won the big title now. He's the
14 years.
Yes, took him too long. Yes, and all that. It does take a long time, for unfortunately.
Drew McIntyre came back and took it before him.
He did. No, he did. You're exactly right with that. Drew McIntyre went in there and took it before he did. And then finally, and I'm hoping now, Drew is fighting Bobby at WrestleMania coming up in April. So I'm hoping Bobby wins, because I don't want to see Drew take it from Bobby. Bobby just got the title. Hey, one of the guys down here, MVP, with the Hurt Business with Bobby, he's from Miami. MVP's he's in Miami. A good guy. I like MVP. I've known him for a long time and all. He's from down here and all. Really cool. But all right, listen, I'm going to let you get going. This is going to be a big fight coming up. Bellator MMA 255 on Showtime on April 2nd. You got Jason Jackson, Sanford MMA, Miramar Patriots, Norland Vikings, the ass-kicking machine, Rockin' Kane. Going against Neiman Gracie. That's going to be a huge fight, co-main event. Jason, thank you so much.